Hello, friends. Welcome to the Career Guru Podcast. I am your host, Steve Yanovsky. What a glorious day it is to start your path on a new career. Doors are opening here at the Boston Career Institute even as we speak. And I'm here holding the key for you. So tune in, stay sharp, and enjoy yourself. This is going to be great. Hashtag Let's Career Up.
Greetings, my friends. Career gurus, aspiring career gurus, people who want to be aspiring, people who are perspiring, anybody listening out there. It is I, your career guru, Steve Yanovsky, coming to you once again with the freshest installment with yet another entry into this amazing field of career growth and development, or field of career guruing. Everybody wants to be a career guru. But for now, it's just you and me. Today, I want to talk to you about an unlikely subject, which is resistance to career growth. Resistance, what a novel concept. Resistance and career growth. How can you grow your career while there's all this resistance, and resistance external and internal? What are all these things? And before I launch into this field of endeavor of overcoming resistance to career growth, whether external or internal, I want to draw your analogy to how do you grow muscles? Why, exercise, of course, you would say, guru. Of course, it's exercise. And what's involved in exercise? Well, we have aerobic exercise, or we have the weightlifting exercise. Well, aerobic exercise is not going to get you the muscle, but it's the resistance-based exercises that will actually make your muscles grow. And if you look at your career as a muscle, which is exactly what it is to some extent, I mean, we can compare a career to just about anything, but muscle and muscle growth is exactly what we're talking about today. No, I'm not talking about weightlifting. I am talking about forcing the weight of nature and your own nature that resists your growth. You see, my friends, it is only natural not to try to do anything. It's natural for the human body to be stagnant, passive, dead. But it's the spirit that we addressed before that drives the body forward. And it's this unusual alliance that feeds both the spirit and the soul and the body. It's that union, that passion that you may have towards a career or to a calling that you may have found. In the previous segments, we talked about, finding your passion, finding your goals, right? It is that union of the flesh, which is only about itself, about laziness, about, the things that we like. My favorite 7-layer cake that I mention every so often, that all that body wants is that 7-layer cake, but the spirit wants to pursue lofty and supreme goals. But when when you have a spirit by itself, there's nothing you can do. The spirit needs the body in which it's dressed up. If you consider the body being the garment of the spirit, it needs, and it's also its vehicle, the spirit needs to drive that body, and the body needs to be the vehicle, and it's the combination of the two that will push you forward. And in order to move forward with great dispatch and with great success, you need to combine these two forces. And when that body gets all excited for that 7-layer cake that the spirit is telling, that, hey, if you accomplish this, if you resist the temptation to do nothing, if you encourage your body to, resist the temptation to do nothing and to move forward, to go forth together, that's when this thing that we do with career growth becomes a force of nature and supernature. Okay, because the spirit is supernatural and the body is very natural. So, enough about philosophy. So, as I discussed with you, resistance to career growth may seem counterintuitive, but when approached correctly, it can actually build success. And here is how. So, here are my favorite steps to resistance activated career growth, or resistance enhanced career growth. Number one, Challenges strengthen resilience. How so? By facing obstacles in career growth, and, big secret in anything, facing these obstacles teaches us persistence and problem solving, creative problem solving. Overcoming all sorts of setbacks will help you develop mental toughness, which is so crucial for our long term success. You see, if you skate through life when you're faced even with a single simplest challenge, people who skate through things just fall flat on their faces. But some of us who are forced to bob and weave and, dodge this incoming, train wreck or a speeding bullet or a locomotive, whatever the case may be, you understand the philosophy. You tend to navigate rough waters much easier than people who never had it rough. So encourage and be emboldened by this resistance, that everything is a learning moment, everything is a teachable moment, to quote former President Barack Obama, where, hey, this is a teachable moment. Don't forget to learn your lessons, friends. Don't just discount it as the dark forces of nature, stomping you. No, no, no. Evaluate the situation, check it out, see what happened. And then you'll be able to go to step number 2, where you'll be able to make and encourage yourself to make thoughtful decisions. Resistance forces professionals to evaluate opportunities very carefully instead of rushing into promotions or career shifts. Okay? Think it through. Past experience, past resistance, past failures are all teachable moments, but don't forget to learn the lessons. If you watch some of those comics with people stepping on the rake 10 times and whacking themselves in the face with a handle, that's exactly what I'm pointing out. You don't have to step on the same rake twice. This is going to ensure that your career moves will align with your personal goals and values. This thoughtful decision making is what I'm talking about. And this is what resistance teaches you and your body to do. Because sometimes that little voice inside, even if your cerebrum didn't acquire the knowledge, and cerebrum is that thinking, big part of the brain, but somewhere underneath that little reptilian brain that we have that makes sure that our body is functioning properly, that we eat and we breathe, and do all sorts of things that we don't think about, that the body just does. It says, something is just not sitting right with me today. Maybe I learned my lesson. Well, maybe your brain didn't quite retain the knowledge, but somewhere inside your body is something that says, I don't particularly care for what's happening here. Let me rethink this. This is exactly what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about. Resistance, internal resistance to your career growth, often comes from fear of failure or stepping out of a comfort zone. We talked about that. But pushing through these doubts will foster a mindset that embraces learning and continuous improvement. My friends, there is nothing worse than being comfortable. Not for too long. It's okay to kind of chill for just a moment and rest on your laurels for just a little bit. Don't be that way. Once you stop moving forward, you automatically begin to reel backwards. So remember, all of the resistance, your own personal internal resistance, it develops your growth mindset. Okay, you gotta get out of the rut. You just gotta get this done. You have to reach for that 7-layer cake to feed the body, okay, or whatever it is that you like, whether it's sushi, whether it's a milkshake that costs $20 today, whatever it is that you want to do to feed your body and to improve your living conditions, that's going to kind of coincide with what your spirit wants to do. Again, push yourself forward. Allow both your mind, your body, and your spirit to join forces together and push yourself forward and learn your lessons. Number 4, building mastery before advancing. So before you grab onto something, before you chase for easy grabs quickly, oh, look at that, I'm going to score that thing. Resistance, I'm in that path before you make that quick, not well thought out decision will allow you more time to think. So sometimes in that particular regard, it's building the mastery of your situation, not jumping into simple things or thinking, oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to do that now. Wait, wait, wait. Not so fast. Not so fast. Give yourself time to develop deeper understanding and greater expertise, because mastery makes professional more valuable and prepared for leadership roles. That's key. That's a key point to understand. So that resistance in this particular case is also good, because even though you want to move forward and you're excited and enthused, but that little pushback, they say, wait a minute, let's investigate all of this. That's going to give you a more thought out approach to your growth. Okay. You don't necessarily need to jump into something and then, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And, I got to tell you, don't make a mistake. I mean, I made that mistake. That's why I'm talking to you about it today. You know, I was offered a tremendous position and a tremendous opportunity some years ago while I was just developing myself in the field. And they said, we believe in you. And I said to myself, oh, that's great. We believe in you. And you know what? That's a good thing. When people believe in you, and we talked about this before, when people believe in you, you should give them that opportunity. But that doesn't mean you don't think about it. And I, unfortunately, at that time, didn't think all of these things through. And I moved forward and I moved a little bit too fast. I didn't realize the place that I was stepping in was going to be a lot more challenging. I didn't give myself that resisted or resistance based pause that I needed to truly understand what was happening. And I'd like to say that it's not necessarily that I paid the price, but my life was a bit difficult in that particular situation. So avoid that. Okay. It's not necessarily always great to jump in your growth pattern. So number 5 in my list of goodies here, how resistance helps is how resistance will promote self-awareness and reflection. Ooh, more spiritual talk by the career guru. Resistance can certainly be an opportunity to assess your strength. This is built on what I just said. It assesses your strength. It maps out the areas of opportunities for your development and growth and your personal career aspirations. Notice how I walked away from the word weaknesses, okay? No, but it maps out your challenges that you need to overcome, but you do that ahead of time, okay? So the self-awareness will bring that about. And the self-awareness will encourage you to refine your skills and define your career paths with certainty and clarity. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to work all the time. Sometimes things do happen, but more often than not, prior planning does prevent poor performance. This is what we're talking about here. Okay? So, what else does resistance do? It strengthens your problem solving abilities. Yes, yes. Even though this topic is sprinkled throughout our conversation today, and I know I touched upon it, but that's exactly what it is. A rough ride will help you learn to navigate rough terrain of your life and your career path much easier than people who didn't do it, the people who didn't overcome it. See, when career growth meets resistance, like lack of promotions, like skill gaps, like job market challenges, these things do happen, problem solving skills improve. That will lead, my friends, to enhanced long term success. Of that, I can assure you. And let me share, before I move to the next point, what happened to me at one point in time. I remember many, many years ago. Um, I was employed by a clinic which was started by a hospital. It wasn't a very well thought out adventure. Yes, big organizations do make mistakes. So they open up this huge, fancy clinic with all sorts of departments, and they didn't realize that the clientele just wasn't there. And they hired me to manage a small medical imaging department in that place. And then the time of realization came about a year and a half after the clinic opened that, geez, we can't do that and we have to fire a whole bunch of staff. And of course, the director called me in and to give me the bad news. Steve, you're a wonderful person, but we can just do without you with a part-time person. And I asked, well, may I ask who else you're firing? Well, they told me we're firing this person, we're firing that person. And I told them, I said, well, I can personally do all of their jobs. Since you're firing them anyway, why don't you just keep me and I will step into their positions with a modest raise? And they said, well, gee, that makes sense. So they, instead of being let go, I was actually given that opportunity, but I would have never come to that had I not had the prior experience and prior resistance in my path. And I can't tell you how many times this particular experience had helped me grow even faster. So that's just one of those things that when you build up your portfolio of technical skills and knowledge and experience, then you can step into so many different roles. And in the face of all sorts of terminations and other terrible issues that may befall an organization, you may come out a winner. And this leads me to the next point, which is this leads to innovation and creativity. You got to admit, this particular approach was innovative and creative. So, career stagnation or resistance can push individuals to think outside the box. Notice I thought outside the box. I made that presentation and I got it. And, you know, it is what it is. I really did feel bad for everybody else, but I did not facilitate them being let go. I simply seized the opportunity to take over their positions, to do more and get more. Okay? Number 8 in my handy dandy list of how resistance can grow your ability to navigate rough career waters or promote yourself is development of grit and determination. Some of the most successful people faced resistance before reaching the top. Rejections, layoffs, failures, one on top of the other. Henry Ford, the great industrialist of the 20th century, a great innovator, was a broken down man until his mid 40s. And only after many, many failures was he able to succeed. And the list goes on and on and on. Some of the greatest personalities in show business were, on the brink of starvation. I'm not even going to say that on a break. They were starving. And then, until, Michael Douglas became Michael Douglas and Danny DeVito became Danny DeVito, a household name in Hollywood. They were starving roommates in New York sharing a room. Okay? And then all of a sudden, they made it. But not because they were, their hour had come. No, because they tried so many times. So many times. And they went back and forth. That grit, that determination, their ability to persevere pushed them forward. And of course, their desire to achieve great things in their profession. And that, of course, leads us to number 9, which is understanding the value of patience and good timing. Success doesn't happen overnight, my friends. And resistance often signals that timing just isn't right. Sometimes the stars need to align for you. Don't give up. It's okay. Be patient. Be frugal. Be good to yourself, but push yourself forward. Just remember, not everything requires or not every time are you entitled to instant gratification. And it's okay not to be instantly gratified. Sometimes, you know what? I'll gladly take it. I'll take it. But it doesn't happen all the time. Okay? Learning patience will definitely teach you how to seize best opportunities when they do arrive finally. When something does show up, you will grab it. Grab it. Penicillin, they say it was invented by accident, and that may be true. That may be true. The researcher was a slob. Otherwise, how would the stale bread end up in his petri dish? But aside from that, when he saw what he saw, it was one of those aha or eureka moments. He says, that's penicillin. But he had to be prepared for it. Somebody, a housekeeper would have come in and would have washed that petri dish of moldy bread. She or he wouldn't have said, hey, that's penicillin. But that guy who was looking for that opportunity, when he realized what had happened, instead of moldy bread, he said, hey, that's penicillin. Last but not least, in my top 10 points about how resistance to career growth builds career growth muscle is the refinement of professional relationships. What is that? See, resistance from colleagues, managers, or industry trends teaches how to navigate workplace politics. Yes, they do exist. And we talked about a little bit of that piece, but I promised to do another podcast about workplace politics. It helps you to develop professional or strong professional communications and negotiation skills. Now, that is a technique that requires much, much mastery. So when handled properly, my friends, resistance to career growth will build character, skills, and a mindset necessary for lasting success. Do you feel that you're facing career resistance right now? Do you? If you're listening to me, you probably are. And if that's the case, you're in luck. It's an opportunity. It's a free membership to the career gym. Start exercising now. This is free. Resistance in this case is free. Start using it to your advantage. And on that happy and exciting note, my friends, I'm going to bid you farewell until our next get together. And I'm looking forward to that immensely. All the best to you, my friends. God bless you all. And may you be graced with a beautiful career with many, many opportunities for growth through resistance.
Well, friends and aspiring career gurus, this was fun. Thank you for tuning in. I feel enlightened, I feel empowered, and I'm feeling grateful that we spend time with you. For more information about Boston Career Institute, please visit our website, bostoncareer.org. Boston Career Institute has 3 campuses located in Brookline, Massachusetts, Malden, Massachusetts, and Lowell, Massachusetts. Call our toll-free number 888-383-6058. For questions, comments, and/or information about our podcast, email me at thecareerguru@bostoncareer.org. The Career Guru podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our website, bostoncareer.org, or wherever you stream your podcast. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your rating and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by PodPro Entertainment, The Career Guru lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. # The New Radio. Looking forward to seeing you soon. All the best to you. My name is Steve Yanovsky. I am the Career Guru. May God bless you. # Let's Career Up.